Hi, Crystal. How are you?
Hey, doing good. Happy to be here.
I am so pumped for this conversation. So, before we even dive into the reason why I invited you onto the podcast, can you tell everybody a little bit more about who you are and what you do and just all the amazing things that you stand for?
Well, they call me Crystal the Oracle, and I am the queen of potions because I make and sell potions, energetic tools that help you change your life. I'm an intuitive life coach, and I teach other folks how to get to know and befriend and trust their intuition. I'm also a somatic trauma therapist because the only thing that keeps you from trusting yourself is typically your nervous system. And so I do that on Instagram to an audience of 150 something thousand friends. And we all are just like madly in love with each other and healing our nervous systems together.
I love it. That's amazing. And you're really fun. Like your bio is so fun, right? Having a snacky snack and all of that. I love how much you just like own who you are and your energy. And it's an incredible example to other people in the
Well,
world,
here's what I'm
right?
going to tell you. Every bit of energy that you spend being anything other than purely authentic, you're not spending innovating. You're not spending figuring out what's next for your life. You're not spending experiencing. So the more we are ourselves trying to be something even a little bit more polished than we are, the less
Yeah.
we are spending pulling extracting what's next for our lives and our human experience from the universe.
Ooh, I love
Authenticity always, because, also, and see, I'm just going to start talking because this is what happens
I love
when
it.
the
Do
panel
it.
starts going. But also, um, authenticity gives other nervous systems permission to be authentic because we are a co-regulated species. Human beings have something in our nervous systems called neuroception. That's what in the magical spaces we call it vibes. In mental health spaces, we'll call it being an empath or something like that, or hypervigilance. But what it really means is my nervous system sees your nervous system and real recognize real. So anytime I am as real as possible, other people feel safe to be real, feel safe to be themselves. If I'm chiseling away at what I really am, then it makes you feel like you have to do that too. And it's hard to find safety and belonging and feeling like you matter in that place. So yourself always.
I love it. Which actually leads in beautifully to what drew me to you in the first place. I came across one of your reels and it was very viral. Many of your reels are, but this one in particular was so magnetic to me. I was laughing so hard, so fucking hard and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just need to bring her onto the podcast." So, you had all you had all the I'm going to link the reel in the show notes, you guys, so you can see it for yourself. But you had all this stuff on, and I think you had what were they like stilts? You were on stilt, like little
Those
pogo
are my
stilts.
kangaroo shoes. They're called kangaroo jump rebounding shoes. So I'm on my rebounding shoes. I think it's a series, by the way, of me doing these ridiculous wellness products because guess what? I like
Yeah,
all of us.
I saw a couple.
Yes, I, like all of us, are wellness hack. I am a junkie for wellness hacks.
Yes,
If you can give me the thing that's gonna stimulate my vagus nerve while I'm in car line, like give me the thing, like let me try it. Like, is the acupuncture mat the thing that's gonna fix me? Like which one is it? What's gonna fix me? And really, if you know anything about the nervous system, in the absence of a threat, the body is always moving toward health, healing, and homeostasis. So, in our healing journeys, what's most important is not to fix anything or heal anything, it's to eliminate the threats. It's to make the choices that shift your environment from something that you want to heal from to something that's healing. And I find, and this is why I don't do somatic work one on one really, but I find most of us reach for healing so that we can better withstand environments we need to get out of.
So this whole reel was like you trying to regulate your nervous system without making other choices, and I thought it was amazing. And so and brought a lot of humor to what so many people are struggling with,
Mhm.
understanding that you can do all the nervous system hacks and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't make actual changes in your life and in how you operate, it doesn't really matter. So let's talk about that a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The thing about the nervous system is that it can't be negotiated with.
Yeah.
The nervous system is going to take you the experiences you've had in your life and it's going to decide what it needs to protect you from. And the nervous system is going to operate 300 times faster. Your trauma responses are going to go 300 times faster than your conscious mind. And the way to heal your nervous system and the way to actually get to healing is to give your nervous system what's called disconfirming experiences. So it's
Yeah.
actual experiences in your life where you are feeling different, treated different, not rushed, more rested, more well fed. Your nervous system is so protective of you, way more protective of you than you are of you, right? And so it's not going to negotiate, it's not going to let you hack it into believing that you're safe. So
Yeah.
that's why I do those reels. I think they're so fun.
They're amazing. What you're saying makes a lot of sense. Actually, just this weekend, my husband and I recorded a kind of like a podcast episode together for a private coaching course that I hold for women. And I actually had a very dysregulated experience before we start. Well, we tried to start multiple times because in our past, when we were in an unhealthier like patterns and energies, he would kind of just like take over and just say stuff off the cuff, not in that environment, but in other environments. And it was really upsetting for me, right? In places where I had mentees and different things, and it felt like he became a little unhinged at times, and then I was responsible for some of the things he said because it was, like, my circle or whatever it was, right? And I didn't realize how much that had affected me until we sat down. We've been doing so much, like, repatterning and work being in our healthy feminine, masculine, and really, like, polarity. And so we sat down to record the episode about it, and I, like, freaked out. But
Oh
here's the cool thing is that we both provided our nervous systems disconfirming experiences because I didn't freak out to the point where he started freaking out, and he stayed super grounded, and he kinda negotiated with me. He's like, "Let me show you I'm different. I know
mhm.
you're freaking out, but let me show you I'm different." And so I did it even though it was very uncomfortable. Like, my whole body was like, "Don't do it. It's gonna be a disappointment. It's gonna be a waste of time. You're gonna get frustrated." And we ended up having the most beautiful conversation. And after we both were like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy how much we are shifting together and individually." And these are the kinds of micro risks and micro pivots that you have to make
Oh my gosh, it's
to
huge because
create
the
like an
brain, yes.
yeah,
Yes, because the brain has a negativity bias. Your brain is
yes,
supposed to remind you of everything that has ever triggered you before. That's what the whole purpose of your brain. It's not a machine for your thriving. It's really just a machine for your surviving, right? And so I love what you said. You said, I sat down, I agreed to do this thing. I felt braced for impact, right? Shared
yes,
in the dysregulated, messy way. By the way, all relational couples therapy, this is my latest soapbox, but all relationships and couples therapy and anything that's based on behavioral management for me, I'm always like, because it's not going to be a regulated person who's making regulated choices from their prefrontal cortex in those situations. We got to have techniques that work with each other's dysregulation. So I love that. You guys, you guys came together, you felt the dysregulation before it had gone off the rails, and you were able to speak it even imperfectly. In the past, right, it has felt like the story I'm telling myself, my body, or one of my favorite things is describe the state, not the story. Describe the state, don't tell the story. So instead of it being, you always try to mansplain in my spaces when it's time, You know what I mean? Instead of that, right, which is violent communication, you were like, I am feeling braced and I
Yeah.
am unsure that we're going to get through this successfully, right?
Yeah.
Talking about yourself, how you're feeling in your own body. I take it a step forward further and say, my breath is short. My hands are sweaty. I feel like my arms are stuck to the side of my body. Just describing the state you're in without naming, blaming, telling him a story, telling your nervous system a story. And then he's able, as someone who loves you, just another nervous system walking through the world that loves you, is able to say, you know what? Let me try to show you something different. And then when it works, it's the most healing thing we can offer each other.
Yeah, it was crazy. I felt like we actually jumped timelines together in that moment in our
I
relationship.
love that. Did you give him some real good when you did? I don't know what your audience is like.
This podcast is like nothing is off limits.
Because that would have been exactly the time for the kind of reinforcement with your face in the bed and your butt in the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it gets reinforced that way a lot. So it's been crazy. And I think that there's a lot out there in the wellness space and the coaching space that it's all about like simple hacks for your nervous system and like you should be good.
Yeah. And the thing about the nervous system is it is so simple, but it is also unrelenting, right?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said, you cannot negotiate with your nervous system. You're not going to hack your nervous system. You can't lie to your energy, right? And so once you sit in the space where you are literally telling yourself the truth, I'm dysregulated in this way. This environment is working. This one is not. Here's what I actually want for my life. Here are the ways that I have room to grow, right? If you are truly in the place where you're being honest with your nervous system, then the silly little walk and making sure you have enough water and just getting enough sleep and the silly little conversation where you eke out your truth. All of those things are so incredibly deeply healing. But we are willing to scale Mount Kilimanjaro and have electroshock therapy and get injected with stuff and then do the hokey pokey and turn ourselves around before we're willing to pick up the phone and tell our mom that she's crossing our boundaries consistently. You know what I mean? So it's little actions that are really going to make a difference in your healing.
Yeah. I firmly believe you can't out hack these very necessary things like calling your mom and saying, "You're crossing my boundaries and I need to do X, Y, and Z at this point," right? And those are like those are for people, it's like the last thing they wanna do, but they don't understand that those are the things that are keeping them in the most dysregulated space.
Mhm.
And what's your insight on that?
Well, there are three core needs of the
Those
nervous
types of things.
Yes, there's three core needs of
Okay.
your nervous system: safety, longing, and mattering. Humans are a core is a we're a co-regulated species, we're a herd species. So those are the three things that our body codes as survival: safety, belonging, mattering. Trauma is any time you have to exchange one for another. So in order to stay safe, you've got to decide you don't matter. In order to belong, you've got to decide I'm going to just people please. I'm just going to make sure and making sure everybody matters other than me, right? And so in order to capture one of the core needs of the nervous system, oftentimes we're neglecting another. And we could get into trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, appease, right? Polyvagal theory, ventral vagal where you're healthy, and your sympathetic nervous system where you're in fight or flight, or dorsal vagal where you're frozen or people pleasing. But what I find is when we've been under this chronic stress, chronic dysregulation, right? We have dropped down most of the time into states in our nervous system where we're either frozen or people pleasing. Most
Yeah.
of the time, that's where especially female audiences are, right? And so the thing that tells your nervous system that you are safe and you belong and you matter is those little micro ways that you tell the truth, speak up for yourself, right? Insert yourself, and the people around you accept you. Now,
Yes.
it's not easy necessarily. It's not immediate either because we have co created the dynamics that even don't serve us. But I find that you find one or two things. You either find extreme healing or you find the people who are not going to be able to walk with you. And
One's
both
off.
pieces of information are really valuable.
Okay, this is I love this conversation because this is the conversation I have in my personal brand. I mentor women. I mentor like high achieving women, and high achieving women, as badass as they are, they lack boundaries. They just self neglect. I mean, it's just the worst. I'm a recovering, self neglector, and uh, I really think that it's interesting because when they take that what I call a micro risk, right? Sometimes it doesn't work out the way that we hoped. Like not everybody's going to go, "Okay, yeah, I'm not going to, like I'm going to respect your boundaries or I'm not going to ask you that anymore," or right? And some people take that negative experience as a, see, I told you, like when I try to advocate for myself, this happens, or you can't trust women because a one-off person, like it's very, very skewed, very black and white. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yes, the thing your nervous system is telling you though, before you do it, is that you're going to die. That's what your nervous system thinks. Your nervous system thinks because guess what? The statistic is that we take in more information, more change in a week than a human being 100 years ago would have in their entire lifetime.
Of course.
So the only thing the nervous system sees as safety is staying the same, right?
Mhm.
This equals safety in the nervous system. So anytime you're going to make a change, the nervous system's going to go, if you change, we're going to die. We're going to die. Right. And that's how it really feels. It really feels like I might die if I send this email. Right. And so even if you take the micro risk to send the email and you get the rejection or the person tells you off or they stonewall you or they show up in whatever their dysregulation is, right? Even if that happens, you've still proven to your nervous system that you didn't die, right?
Mm.
So the next time that is logged in your amygdala and in your hippocampus and also in your hormone, people are on HRT that just need to set a boundary with their family, right? So log all of those things. This is a side note, but when I got out of my abusive marriage, I had kept myself silent so long that my body had assisted me to that end by turning down my levels of testosterone to assist me in staying quiet. Right? So I had to speak
There's
up.
a lot. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was gonna say a lot of high achieving women who I work with, myself included, low testosterone, like
Yes, of course.
deplete our testosterone in different ways, right? Something like that or similar, like the same type of, need or energetic like
Yes.
suppression in some way.
Suppression is exactly it. This is the thing about high achieving.
Mhm.
We we're typically high achieving because we've got this crippling fear of failure
Yeah.
or a crippling fear of success sometimes too when we're procrastinating in our high achievement, right? And so the thing about capitalism is that it rewards our self-neglect. It just does.
Totally.
The thing about people pleasing as a trauma response is that it feels kind of good, even if temporarily people are happy with you. You don't have to field people being unhappy with you. So it's a really smart trauma response. The thing is, like I said, 100 years ago, we wouldn't have trauma responses like this in our everyday life. It would have been a response to like a bear, right? The bear would have been coming to attack us. We would either fight the bear, run from the bear, right? Play dead or make friends with the bear. But now we've got to understand that the bear is not a bear. It's typically an email or a bill or a conversation with your sister or your partner coming home in a funky mood, and if you can just tell yourself, it's not the bear. This is not a bear. I can do this and I will not die. And if you can just will yourself for 30 seconds to do it and prove to your nervous system that you will not die, two things will happen. You will know that you stay alive. It'll be easier to do it the next time. And you'll be able to navigate whatever the consequences of the action is, regardless of if they're what you wanted them to be.
Yes. 1000%. So
Mhm.
when you're mentoring people to make these real shifts that are going to actually regulate their nervous system long term, right? Where do you have them start?
I typically so it's gonna feel like a left, but I typically have them start with dancing.
I love it.
Twerking to be specific.
Love it. Tell us what.
Because you're a human nervous system that has been stuck in dysregulation, trauma, suppression, any of those things. They are storing that in their hips, typically. Their hips, their psoas, right? Just like when you are in extreme levels of danger, human beings, when they're extreme levels of danger, typically their libido will turn down. Typically, we are not a species who will reproduce when there is extreme danger in the environment. Like all of that is biologically how we're hardwired. So you can give your nervous system the clue that you are safe just by moving your hips, right? There are also studies that show that dancing is one of the most effective antidepressants, chemical or non chemical, right? Just
Mm,
dancing, movement of the hips. It's called proprioception, a frozen, suppressed nervous system. If there was a bear or saber-toothed tiger to be afraid of in the environment, you would not be, with your hands on your knees shaking it. You wouldn't do that, right? So your brain
love
knows
that.
you would clamp down, you'd be quiet. So I'll turn on Meredith Brooks, bitch. I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother. I'm gonna just turn that on and I'm gonna move, just move, move. Stretch your arms as high as far as you can. You know what I mean? Show your body that you are safe to take up space and do it with nobody around. Your brain does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. You are having that experience when nobody can see you. So put on some music, shut the door, right? Let your kids' little fingers come from under the door and be like, I'm doing my thing, leave me alone. And just wind your hips. That's really where to start. And you'll feel energetically a little more chutzpah, right? To be able to have that conversation.
Love it. So it sounds like you give them a starting off point and then it's almost like intuitively they expand their own understanding of where they need to go next with boundaries or changes or
But what
different
will
things like
happen?
that.
What'll happen is you'll get an energetic impulse, right? But here's the thing.
Yes.
I don't know anybody for real that doesn't know what they need to do next. What they don't know is the whole plan, right? But they
Right.
know we always know the next right
Yeah.
step.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
I
we
don't
don't know the how. Maybe we don't have the skills
know
for the
how,
how, but I agree. We always know.
but we have an idea, right? We may not know the how, but we do know I could send that DM, right?
Yeah.
We do know that. We do know I could just go by the property in the strip mall and ask them what the price per square foot is for this thing I want to do or this thing I want to open. We do know, don't feel like being solely responsible for every morsel of food that everybody in this house puts in their mouth every single day. We know
Yeah.
that, right? Right? But we don't know how our children are going to grow up and think of us as a mother if we don't pack every single lunch and then put a post-it note with a heart. And if we don't, and then my mom did it. We don't know all that. But we do know today I don't want to cook. And if we can start little by little honoring what we do know, honoring how we really feel, it makes such a big difference. And here's the deal. You don't have to raw dog your change. You don't have to surprise everybody and like unveil it. You can tell the people around you that you are practicing something new. I'm unhappy because I think I have anxious attachment and I've been people pleasing. And I have been listening to these silly ladies online, and they are telling me that I need to be speaking up for myself. So for the next 3 days, I am going to practice, y'all. Get your own laundry. How did that feel, right? You're able to announce to the people around you that you are practicing these new habits, and they're going to do what you think they're going to do. They're going to go, what is going on with her? But then they are also going to feel the permission in their own nervous system because I promise you, If you've been walking around your house and you've been people pleasing and you are resentful, every single person around you is on eggshells.
Ye
Nobody around you is pleased,
that's
right?
because of the neuroception, right?
Because of their own neuroception. Yeah, that's right. Because their neuroception. They feel your dysregulation coming into the room. And so just take a deep breath, right? And if you feel yourself dysregulated, another thing you can do somatically, one of my favorite things is just think about the backside of your body. I say, remind yourself that you have your own back, right? So the science of this is when there's danger, right? When your eyes, your prefrontal cortex is perceiving danger, right? Your all of your attention goes very forward facing. Your body's like, what's the threat? What's the threat? Right? And you can disengage that by just bringing your awareness to the backside of your body, the back of your head, the back of your neck, the back of your shoulders, your butt, the backside of the room, right? Your eyes don't even have to be closed. I'm doing this a lot of times in conversations I don't want to have. I'm just thinking about the backside of my body, and they're like, gosh, she just so regulated, right? I can do it for a little while, then I'm gonna cuss them out. But after that, right?
But do we really think that when we speak our mind that it's always out of dysregulation? You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I love that you said that. I love that you said that.
Really struggle with this idea that any kind of negative emotion means you're dysregulated or any kind of behavior
Honey.
always means you're dysregulated. I'm like, "No, I very calculated said what I said,
Mhm.
like, and I meant it, and I would say it again. It's not like I was out of control and just said it or whatever."
Percent. So the thing that trauma tells you, the only thing that trauma takes away from you is your agency. And so a lot of people think healed means you're quiet and you do the
Yes,
thing and you don't say the thing and you don't know what healed means is that you can choose your response to the external stimuli, right?
yeah,
If
yeah.
you are choosing your response, whatever you feel like is correct for you, then that is a healed response. And nobody can tell you that healed means anything they want it to mean.
What do you think about that though? Like, I feel like that's a message in the coaching and healing space, and I find it to be very damaging.
Yes, for sure.
Like, love and luck all the time. I'm just like, "This is bullshit." Like, you know what I mean? It's not real.
Yeah, it's not real. It's actually spiritually bypassing, right? I'm always going to go through this spiritual lens, right? We are not human beings having spiritual experiences. We are spirit beings having a human experience. And the entire breadth of the human experience is available to you. Now, are you able to go through life just flying off the handle and fighting everybody and hitting everybody with your car? Absolutely not. And we know we're not even talking about that. But you being able to healthily assert yourself is a healthy nervous system. You being able to say, hell no, is a healthy nervous system, right? Healthy does not mean that it's going to look a certain way. Most of the time, the way that person, I always say the people who have a problem with how you talk to them or about them may need to be behaving different. Like, worry about yourself.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I think it's confusing for people and it's unfortunate.
Yes, I think we have put all of our nervous system collectively, especially the healing spaces, we have put our nervous systems in these boxes. And like you said, love and light is kind of this spiritually bypassing name of the game. But you need to be able to touch all, it's the law of universal law of polarity. There is no love and light without not love and darkness. There's no
Darkness,
distinction from it.
yeah.
You are all of it. And literally, the only thing we love about being warm is the fact that we understand our experience of cold. We need the breadth of human experience. The thing that feels sweet about being that oxytocin, ooey gooey, dopamine yummy with the people that love us is that it is that we know and trust that we will be able to assert ourselves in situations where that is not appropriate, right? And so that healthy assertion is what makes love feel like love. So yeah, don't let anybody if somebody's listening, don't let anybody tell you that it is wrong to tell people what you think because you get to do that.
Okay, I Want to switch gears just a little bit and talk a little bit more about your work as an intuitive coach?
Mhm.
Is my understanding correct that you help other people get more in tune and tuned into their intuition, right? Their inner knowing.
Yes, yes, that's
Okay.
the main thing that I do. I do
Okay.
one-on-one sessions via Marco Polo. They're on my website. And then once a year, I have workshops all year long about different things. I have a whole list of workshops on my website. But once a year, typically February, March timeframe, I do a big group coaching program called Oracle You. You are your own oracle. And let me tell you something. After Oracle You, they know their higher self. They are able to trust themselves. They can do physical healing work. They understand their psychic gifts or intuitive gifts. They understand kind of how to move the world. They trust themselves. The am I doing it right falls off. Like, oh, it's so. Mhm.
That's incredible. Can we talk just a little bit about how people can start to get more in tune? Because I feel like it goes very much hand in hand with the nervous system, but it's when you said you usually know the
Yeah.
next step. A lot of people think they don't know, right? And they want somebody to tell them, and we understand where that programming comes from, but it's like, how do you, like, what's the initial of breaking free from that, right? When most of your life you've been told, like, you don't know, like, people have made you second guess yourself, and that's a huge part of your program.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to lay two foundational things. The first one is your intuitive gifts come through your senses. The only way your unseen intuition can communicate with your human body is through your sense of sight, sound, right? Sight is called clairvoyance, hearing is clairaudience. That gut feeling is clairsentience. Those chills you got when that person walked by, that's called a clear tangency. You know what I mean? So the thing you just knew, like, how did I know that? That's called clear cognizance, right? So your spiritual gifts are always communicating with you. We talked about the law of polarity a little bit, right? How hot and cold are polar and the experience. So faith and doubt are poles, right? So how do you start believing more in your intuitive gifts? How do you start trusting them more? You start paying attention to what your doubt sounds like because you're much more practiced at that. So
Yeah,
if
that's
when you
good.
start to doubt, you have this hit, you're like, wait, and then you start to doubt real strong, right? Of course you doubt real strong because doubt and faith are the same thing, just different sides of the same coin. So when belief comes to you, right? You're going to be on one side of the pole or another. And typically, when you're starting to grow this muscle, it's going to be the voice of your doubt. So, what does your doubt sound like? Are you just worrying, like imagining pictures, just imagining, and you can see images of everything going wrong? You're probably very clairvoyant. Grab that from the primal part, your amygdala, put it into your prefrontal cortex where you are consciously making decisions and saying, no, I'm going to visualize this going wrong. You know what? I'm going to visualize it going right. If you are going through, you get this intuitive hit, you're hit with belief and you go, I just can hear. I can just hear the voice of my mama saying that this is a yeah, and then it's gonna be it. Pull that. Your
Mhm.
amygdala has hijacked your experience, but it only happens between 6 and 90 seconds. After that, you get to tell yourself whatever damn story you want to tell yourself. And you want to lean in to reteaching yourself, retelling yourself better stories through however your doubt showed up, because that's going to be your strongest spiritual gifts.
Oh, I love it. I love
So, like,
it.
some people will go, I thought about doing it and I just felt sick to my stomach. I just didn't think anything was right. It's like, oh, you did? That means you can trust your gut, right? One of the things you can do is speak to the doubt aloud. We don't fight thoughts with thoughts, we fight thoughts with words and actions. So you can say, "Ooh, I feel it, body. I feel activated in my belly. I'm not going to name this worry. I'm going to name this anticipation."
Mhm.
Right? Because story follows state. So the more you can just notice the state and not automatically attach the story, the more
Yeah.
you're healing. Now, what fires together wires together in the brain. So you've had years of this feeling firing with this story. So it is literally wired together in your brain. But you can see, you can go to YouTube and like and YouTube like brain synapses forming. And you can watch the little guys as you think new thoughts go like this, and then he goes like, right? And
I
once
love it.
you have that visual, you can go, "Ah, I'm gonna snatch that thought. It's just the highway that my brain has automated, and I'm gonna release a new thought. And the more I do that, the more the synapses are gonna lock those thoughts together."
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And so, what about people who they're not even to the point where they're understand like that they're even ready to fully embrace their spiritual gifts, but they know something, but they automatically override it with programming from, let's say, childhood of like, you can't do that, or especially around boundaries and people pleasing or following your dream, these types of things where you do know, but then it's like we're taking a different route. It's
Mhm.
like the programmed route. Would you say to do the same thing, but just in that regard? Like, how would you encourage somebody or coach somebody to start making shifts that way?
Mhm. This is when I invite them into my bed. I say, "Here," that not literally, but energetically, "Come to my bed. Imma hug you. We gonna eat ice cream out the pint together, baby, and I'm gonna tell you something, right? Here's what I'm going to tell you. For this to be a universe based on infinite possibility and free will, there's not gonna be any of those. We started back to the alpha, right? There's not gonna be any cupping you can do, rebounding, electroshock therapy. There's no potion, no crystal, no hypnosis, no anything, right? You can do whatever you want, but none of those things, they're all gonna influence your energy, but none of those things are going to force your free will, right? So what you're gonna have to do
Yeah.
is get as much support as you can around yourself. Get whatever scaffolding you need, be it you as a mentor, be it some affirmations taped to your mirror, whatever it is that you need to be able to will yourself for just 30 seconds to take that step. But it is
Yeah.
going to always come down to that matter of your will, right? And here's the deal. I think a lot of people feel very stuck. I went viral for saying this too, but I think a lot of people feel very stuck because they are seeing every choice as a decision, right? And choices and
Yeah.
decisions are very different things. A choice is just that. It's just a choice. You go to the coffee shop, you choose the coffee, you choose the syrup, you choose whip or not, and then you taste it. Do I like that? You decide if you like it. So the more you can distinguish choices in your life from decisions, right? The less stuck your energy will feel. So you can
Ooh,
say to yourself, "You know what? This is just a choice." Right? And you can announce to everybody, "I'm going to try just for 3 days to," right? And then you're going to offer your nervous system that experience, and you're going to decide, do I want to keep choosing this or do I want to choose something different? You can always, always, always make a new choice.
yeah, I love that. I tell people all the time, like, you can make a new choice and try it on, and if it doesn't work out for you,
Mhm.
you can go back. Like,
Mhm.
you
For
can
example,
always go back.
in our childhoods, our moms was like, "Pick a snack and eat it,
Yeah,
in or out." Right? You made me buy this saxophone. You gonna learn to play it, right? Our mothers, our caregivers, and I'm a mom of three, so I can be a little cheeky about caregivers. Our caregivers doing the best they could with the tools they had in life, right? And scarcity have built up in us. But anytime, and there are choices, like I gotta be real, there are choices that are harder to unravel than others, but there aren't any that are impossible.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I think we have a lot more flexibility than we often allow ourselves to believe that we do.
Uh-huh. I think what I can say with certainty is 100% of the people who are living in the luxurious privilege of being able to listen to the two of us gab for an hour on a podcast, I
Yeah.
know for sure that your life is set up in such a way that you can choose differently, more, the next thing, right? Just by the privilege of being able to have access to the internet and an hour of spare time. So if you're under the sound of our voices, you are able, right, to take inspired action toward whatever it is you want.
Yes. Can you talk about this belief system that, well, I didn't have a choice? It really pisses me off when people say that, and I get it because 'cause I've been there. like I had no choice or whatever with hard things in my life. But usually, once I come out of that a little bit, I realize that was something I was saying to myself to make myself feel better and to not really have to look at how I co-created that thing. For example, like my ex-husband's affair or right, these different things that are so hard. And I see especially women get mad at me, which is fine, whatever. Like when I say certain things about our agency and the energy we bring into our relationships and things, and it's like, I don't have a choice. Like, I didn't have a choice. And I'm like, no, you fucking had a choice. Like, I know you didn't think you did at the time, but you actually really did. Right. Like, there's all this domino effect off of things that we do. And people just really struggle to understand that. Right. I'd love
I
to hear your perspective.
So I don't typically argue what has elapsed with people.
Right. Right.
If that version of you really felt like she didn't have a choice, that's cool. I'm going to say thank you to her for
Yeah.
having endured the experience that has now transformed you into the you are now, who's
Yeah.
able to look and now make a new choice, right? So, do you still feel like you don't have a choice? We can talk through what choices you might have, or staying this, like I said, sameness is what feels like safety. It is okay. Like, I sell potions. Potions move energy. Potions are energetic catalysts. I'm
Hmm.
also a crystal person. There's sometimes where I'm going to put the potion aside, I'm going to grab the crystal, and I'm going to admit to myself, I want to stay the same, right? Anytime there's this really amazing book that I
Hmm.
talk about all the time called Existential Kink. Everybody should read this book, but it existential kink. And it talks about the ways that we find certain things in our lives juicier than we would like to admit. Sometimes we've got these subconscious energetic contracts that are just like, universe, spank me harder, right? And we've got to you got to be able to, be real enough with yourself to admit, you know what? I kind of do like the idea that if I work really hard, I'm going to be called a good girl. I do like the idea that maybe it doesn't come with ease for me, or maybe it was a little harder for me than everybody else. Ooh, that feels good. You got to admit. So what I say to my people is anytime you go, why am I like this? Ask yourself, why do I like this? Now, hey, are there, because your energy is always in service to you, right? Anytime you say, why am I like this? Ask yourself, why do I like this? How is this choice keeping me safe? How did that past experience where I didn't feel like I had a choice keep me safe, secure, right? Give me a level of stability I wouldn't have had otherwise, right? Yourself these questions. That's if you really want to do the work. You don't have to. You can just continue. You free will, baby. You can continue to tell yourself the story that someone else outside of you is going to have to come and rescue you and you can wait for them. That's your choice too. It's your human experience. You can navigate it however you want.
Yeah. I love it. I love what you said about how that like past version of you, if she felt like she didn't have a choice, that's okay. We thank her. And then it's like, okay, but right now, do you
Mhm.
feel you have a choice?
Yes. And be real careful the loops you get stuck in about talking about past versions of you. Because
Yeah.
every perspective you have is built from an experience that she lived through that you've
Yeah.
decided you can't, you won't, right? And I
Yeah.
say all healing begins with either having the conversation or deciding, I'm never having this conversation again. And so, this version of you in the past, right? Is the one who decided I'm going to have the conversation or I'm never having the conversation again, gave you the experience, the survival, the skills, the perspective to get you to where you are now, right? And how you talk to her, your future self is listening to. So if you want to get to your future self, right? You want your future self to feel safe to manifest, right? Start being real thankful for the past versions of you because right now in your skin, you are the past version for future you. That might have gotten real existential, but be
No, it
real
makes sense
careful
though,
with that
because
relationship with past versions of yourself.
if you're criticizing the past version of yourself, the future version of yourself is like
Why
gonna
would I
be
even show up? right?
Totally. That's why I always encourage women to it's like we're just approaching with curiosity and understanding. It's not about judgment, it's not about shaming yourself, like, it's just about really, gaining some understanding so if you wanna make different choices moving forward, you have information to do that with.
Yeah. And I don't go digging up like a lot of people are why people and I get it, but I don't go digging up like versions of my past. Like it presents itself and it wants to be processed, then good. But we've got to one of the things Source said to me recently was, Crystal, don't ask me a question unless you want the answer to the question. You ask me a lot of questions where you want the answer that you want. Then
Yeah,
if you know the answer that you want, what you have isn't a question. What you have is an intention that you need to set and work toward, right? But you're delaying taking the action by asking the question.
very
So we got
interesting.
to figure out when, how, and it's so sneaky and yummy and smart of our little brains and nervous systems to keep
Mm,
us frozen, information gathering, right?
yeah,
Or digging through the why or analysis paralysis, right? All of that is just sneaky, yummy ways to stay the same. When all you have to do is stand flat footed and go, you know what, I'm going to do something a little different today. And you don't have to
mhm,
start by doing
mhm,
the different thing on the thing that's the thing. You can do a different thing by walking out to your mailbox on the right side instead of the left. That's going to tell your brain something's changing. You can go to a different coffee shop to co-work than the one you went to before. You can call your besties in a different
yeah,
order, right? You can sit
mhm,
crisscross applesauce on the floor instead of on the couch where you sit all the time, right?
yes,
Little ways to change, right? Because anytime you ask the universe for something, any prayer, petition, any hope, dream, anything that you name, right, is asking the universe to take you incrementally from where you are to where you want to be. What you are asking for is a series of changes. So the more resilient you are to change, right, the more magical your life will,
mhm, I
because
love
source
that,
is chivalrous. The universe is really kind to us. So if
mhm,
we ask for a change, universe, I think I want something brand new in my relationship, right? The first thing that happens is the energy of change. Let me tell you, I'll tell you a little story. I had a petition. I wanted something completely brand new. And you want to know what happened? The Chick-fil-A, which, my kids love Chick-fil-A and we do our best around here, right? So like, listen, I ain't about to argue with them minions. I'm going to offset it by other, but whatever. The Chick-fil-A that was on this side of the street decided it wanted to move to the opposite side of the street. You want to know what a fit I threw about that Chick-fil-A moving? Now it's going to be traffic. It's going to be a different thing. It's a different, the traffic patterns are different. That left is harder than the right. You know what I mean? And your sources like, Crystal, do you want change or do you not want change? Do you want to be a person who can throw a pebble in the lake of the time space continuum and cause a ripple?
yeah,
Why do you think that you are going to literally be able to bend reality to into your will, which is that's what all of us want, right? And nothing's going to kink along the way. So start seeing those little places of change, those little inconveniences that show up as in your life as evidence that the manifestation that you put out is happening. It's like now I'm like that. I'm like, the mailman used to come at 2, now they're coming at 6. That's a change. The timeline has shifted. I'm looking for the rest of my changes, right? That's how you do it. That's how you feed yourself the kind of stories, right, that change your life.
oh my gosh, I love this. Okay, where can everybody find you? It'll be linked in the show notes, but I want you to also tell them.
Yes, I'm Crystal the Oracle on Instagram. I'm Crystal the Oracle on TikTok, but I'm never over there because I'm old. I'm going to try harder though. I'm crystaltheoracle.com. I mean, anywhere it's Crystal the Oracle, they can find me. And I really do, I get hundreds of DMs a day, but I do try to actually get to them. And I love it. I just want everybody to just kind of come join our community because we are healing and taking inspired action together. And we're making it really fun and funky and funny because, what's not fun about this thing we're doing called being human, right?
I'm so excited. You guys need to go follow her and join her community. And I'm so grateful you made time. I know you're so busy, and you guys, she does answer DMs because she answered mine. And so I love how much you try to make yourself, reachable to people. And thank you for your wisdom, and just like, I had such a blast with you, and I can't wait for people to hear this episode.
I love it so much. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.